What's up, guys? My name is Wokar, and I am the Filthy Casual. So first things first, for the few handful of you who are already subscribed to my channel previously and are confused about the name change and who this person is that you're subscribed to, my channel's name used to be Whack Attack. It's a channel I created back in college, who knows how many years ago. Not a name I was particularly proud of, but I've always wanted to change it to this name, the Filthy Casual, because I really love this game. But I play it more at a casual level. I play some online regionals every now and then, but I don't really get a chance to go to a whole lot of tournaments. And I like playing fun decks. I also play competitive decks online as well. But yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with playing fun decks and playing occasionally. It's totally okay to be a casual, and a filthy casual at that. Just make sure you shower. So I really wanted to change the channel to be focused more on casual decks. There's plenty of great YouTubers out there who create competitive decks, so I wanted to find kind of my place to share some of my fun deck builds. And the other kind of reason I wanted to start this channel now is because after almost 2 years of this game being out, I finally convinced a group of friends to try out this game. They've absolutely been loving it. And so I wanted to create some decks which are budget, beginner friendly, and can really help people get into the game and kind of grab their interests. And so WarGreymon obviously is an iconic Digimon. And so for today, I am sharing Starter Deck 1 WarGreymon, who is a WarGreymon that was pretty overlooked for good reasons in the past. But now I think this deck is pretty solid. This deck overall costs, I want to say it's around $70, maybe even less than that. You could probably get most of the commons off friends who already play, or even if you go to your locals. I'm sure plenty of people will be able to help you get these cards that you need because they're not particularly expensive. They're not hard to find. And then the most expensive card in this deck is $15. And so without further ado, let's hop right into it. Usually I start with the eggs, but for this deck in particular, I think it makes more sense to start towards the top. And so first off, let's start off with our first card. We're running 4 copies of Starter Deck WarGreymon. This guy is 4 costs to Digivolve. He is 12,000 DP, and his effect states, for every 2 Digivolution cards that Digimon has, it gains security attack +1. And so that's a pretty good effect. However, in the past, it didn't make a whole lot of sense because the most you can get with the full stack is 3 checks that you'd be able to get. And that's good, but it's not great. And so this card now, which we'll talk about more about why this works now versus previous iterations and previous sets, but this now lets you pretty much go for an OTK itself. This is different from WarGreymon X, so do keep that in mind. We're not running WarGreymon X. You could if you want to, but it doesn't focus on the same kind of strategy. It is still OTK though. Second, we are running 2 copies of the EX1 WarGreymon. What this guy does is he's very similar in terms of costs and DP. He's 4 costs to Digivolve, 12,000 DP. On Digivolve, he gets a Blitz. And then if you're attacking a player, if you have a Tamer in play, you can destroy one of your opponent's blockers. It's a bit relevant because there's Alphamon running around, which just have access to Retaliation blocker. So sometimes you need to swing and pop that before you can start building up your OTK stack. It does slow you down a lot, I'm not going to lie. But again, this is a budget build. I wouldn't be expecting it to top large tournaments and beating tier 1 decks consistently, but it definitely can. I've been testing this against Garurumon X, and it is pretty good. Like, if you can get your stack up, it is very lethal. And then finally, the last level, I guess the level 7 that we play to kind of close out the game, this is what brings the OTK home, is Blitz Omni. So Blitz Omni, if you're not aware of what it does, this is a $15 card that I was talking about, probably the most expensive one in this deck. 14,000 DP, 4 to Digivolve from red or blue, and then on Digivolve it gains Blitz, meaning you can attack even though your turn has past 0, the memory counter is past 0, and he also unsuspends on Digivolve. And then all turns he has another effect where he has some protection, but we're not using that. We're literally using this to swing for 5 checks. So now your opponent has no security left, and then you Digivolve into him and swing for game. That's pretty much what he's used for. He's absolutely crucial, I think, in this kind of build. We do have other ways to close out the game as well, which I'll talk about later, but I think he is a mandatory 2 of. I want to go more than 2 just because he does brick early game and he is searchable. Next we have a new card that we got in BT9, which is Metal Greymon X Antibody. So we're running 4 of him. He does enable the OTK. He adds a whole lot to this deck. And so what he does is, first of all, he can Digivolve over Metal Greymon for free. He does Digivolve from a level 4 for 3, but we almost never want to do that. You want to hold this and Digivolve this over a Metal Greymon for sure. And then his effect is he gains security attack +1 when Digivolving until the end of your opponent's turn. And if you have a Metal Greymon underneath him or X Antibody option, which we don't run any, he gains 3,000 DP also until the end of your opponent's turn. This adds, first of all, just this and this, if you already have a full stack, this already adds an additional security check, so you were going to be checking 4 instead of the original 3. We'll talk more about how you get to the 5, but this is also a key part of that. Next card that we have are 4 copies of EX1 Metal Greymon. Now this guy is pretty decent. He has an effect of when attacking. If this Digimon attacks a player, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 4000 DP or less. That's important because you can pop things like floodgates, but for the most part, you don't want to be playing in the battle area. You want to be building and raising. So it isn't too important, but he does also have piercing, meaning if you have this over a stack with this Greymon, with this Metal Greymon underneath them, your opponent is almost never going to block this. There's no reason to, unless they have retaliation blocker. At that point, like, you have to play around that anyways. But they'll almost at that point want to block the kill shot, and not this WarGreymon who's swinging for 4 or 5. So this is pretty good. If you were not on a budget and had like $30 extra to spare something, I would swap 2 of these for Metal Greymon Ultras mode. It's the new one. It's a promo Metal Greymon Ultras mode that came out along BT9. It digivolves over Metal Greymon for free, so that's good because you can get an additional source for WarGreymon. And second, it does pop bodies, and it does also give protection. So that, I think, is definitely worth it over maybe 2 of these. I would definitely try that out if you had the budget to do so. All right, next we're gonna talk about the final piece that brings this OTK together now versus previous iterations and previous sets, and that is gonna be this Greymon X antibody. You're gonna be digivolving over your Greymon and your Metal Greymon over these. So you're gonna have 2. If you have the perfect stack setup, you're gonna have 2 additional sources. And you're gonna have, instead of checking for 3, you're checking for 4. And this guy also adds a security attack +1 by himself. So now all of a sudden he's swinging for 5, and that's absolutely insane. You don't need Tai, you don't need started at Greymon. There's a lot of WarGreymon players who will tell you they swing for 5, WarGreymon X players, that they swing for 5 pretty often. As someone who plays WarGreymon X, I'm going to go ahead and say that's not very truthful. WarGreymon X is a really fun deck. I do enjoy it, and I have nothing against it. However, swinging for 5 does require a lot. You need a full setup. And also, I mean, this is budget. That deck costs like what? Well over $150. You can build this for half the cost. For that, you need a WarGreymon, starter deck or BT1 WarGreymon underneath there, a Tai, a Greymon, and then you need to build up your WarGreymon X, and that is a lot. So this deck, I think, does it more consistently than that, if anything. And again, it's half the cost. Anyways, so yeah, we were at 6 level 6s, 2 Omnimon, 8 level 5s, and then we got the 4 Greymon X. Next, we're running 4 of these Greymon from BT1. All it says is your turn. You gain this Digimon gains 2,000. And next, I'm running 3 of these Greymons, which is if you digivolve over Agumon, you can gain a memory if it's in the battle area. And then your Digimon with Omnimon or Greymon in their name get 2,000 during your turn. I like this one over this just because this is a 4-drop in case you need to hard play it and you're bricked. Otherwise, the ratios don't really matter too much. They both give 2,000 inheritable, which is pretty good. You want to beef this guy up as much as you can just so he doesn't die to security checks if you're swinging into, like, say, an Alphamon or Yukon mode, which is 16,000 DP. But this deck can easily get over 16,000 DP, so not a problem there. And then the final level 4 we're playing, so we're playing a total of 12, is a single copy of Burning Greymon. Now, Burning Greymon, keep in mind, does not count as a Greymon. However, he does serve other purposes. He can hybrid for game, so he can digivolve over a red Tamer for 2 cost, and then he could potentially swing for game if you don't have your Omnimon, but you do have enough security. The other kind of reason we're running him over Agunimon, he does have another effect that doesn't come up at all because we don't run Takuya or other hybrids. But the reason we run him is because although he does digivolve over a level 3 for 3 cost, which is terrible. Never do that, right? Even with your Agunimon, you never want to digivolve over your level 3. You want to save it to swing for game. However, he does serve one additional purpose, which is that if you do not see your Metal Greymon X antibody and you need to just start swinging, you can digivolve over, if you already have a Greymon with a Greymon X antibody on top of it, you can digivolve into him for 1. And then you can digivolve into this, and all of a sudden, you do get 4 checks. You don't get your full 5 because you don't have the security attack +1 that he grants you, but you do get 4, which might just be enough to push for lethal the following turn. Maybe you have a Blitz Omni in hand already, and yes, a little body on board that you were searching with and you swing with, which we can get into next. Level 4s, we have a total of 12. So let's get into these guys here. This is Agumon from BT5. What he does is on play, you reveal 3 cards, you add 1 Omnimon and 1 Digimon with Greymon in the same to hand. So both of them. So if you see an Omnimon and any of your Digimon with Greymon in there, other than Burning Greymon, obviously, you get to add them to hand. And then you bottom deck the rest. It's pretty good because this is a 1-stack deck. You need your pieces. And so if you play this, you can also swing into your opponent's security, do a little bit of chip damage in case you can't get him to 5 checks and only 4. You can still get there. Or if he stays on the board and you can get to 5 checks, then he can potentially also swing for game if you don't have Omnimon or enough memory to do the Burning Greymon play. All right, next we are going to run 4 copies of Agumon X Antibody. Now, Agumon X Antibody is also really good. He does something very similar. He checks top 3 and he adds an Omnimon or something with a Greymon in the same hand. So it's not both. If you see both an Omnimon and something else, you have to pick one. He also adds an X Antibody option card, but we do not run any. On top of that, he can also Digivolve on top of an Agumon for free. So if you have this searcher out in the battle area, you can Digivolve over him, get your draw for Digivolution, and then get the search off as well. So that's why he's pretty good. Definitely run 4 of that as well. Next, we're running 4 copies of this Starter Deck 7, I believe. Starter Deck 7, yeah, Starter Deck 7 Agumon. And so what this guy does is that his inheritable is when attacking this Digimon, when this Digimon attacks a player, it gains 2,000 DP for the turn. And so we're running this because promo Agumon is well over $20 and also grants 2,000 DP. We want to make this guy as beefy as possible, so we're running 4 of him. And finally, the last rookie, we're running a total of 14. We definitely want to see a rookie opening hand, which is why we're running 14. This is Agumon from Starter Deck 1, and his inheritable just grants additional 1,000 DP during your turn. So that's all for the Digimon. Again, we got 6 level 6s, 2 level 7s, 8 level 5s, 12 level 4s, and then 14 level 3s. I think that's a pretty standard number. This is a 1-stack deck, and you need to see all your pieces, and you need to build up a single line, a single stack, and then you just need to swing for 5 checks and do as much damage as you can. So I think these ratios are pretty solid. Again, if you weren't on a budget, I would swap 2 of these out for an Altruist mode, and maybe 3 of these or 3 of these for a Greymon, Starter Deck Greymon. What those will do is that they'll make you less reliant on having the perfect line. Maybe you don't need this. And if you have ties as well, so let's talk about that next, you can put those in. So for our Memory Tamer, this does cost 4, so in order to make sure we're not passing turn, we need to play a couple of things that gain us memory at the start of a turn. So we have Hero Amanakawa here, which sets our memory at 3 if we have less than 3 at the start of a turn. Full disclosure, Hero is... He's good, right? Whenever you swing with a level 5 or higher Digimon, you can suspend him for your Digimon to gain 2,000 DP. This deck is already swinging for a whole lot of DP, right? So say you have this Agumon, any of these Greymons, and then you Digivolve into him, you're already going to be swinging for close to 20,000 DP, I think, actually, because you have 2, 4, 7... so more than that even. You can easily swing for that. So Hero is a bit unnecessary. So you can try out Marcus if you want. But full disclosure, they're not a good replacement for Tai. Tai is sitting about $25 right now. If you can afford Tai or if you have them, I would definitely run them over these guys. I mean, I guess it's relevant if you have like a Metal Greymon that you need to swing with in battle area for whatever reason. But that's pretty much it. And then next we're playing Nokia. So Nokia, on play, you play an Agumon for free. It has to be Agumon. It can't be Agumon X Antibody. So if you play this Agumon, the best combo here is you play Nokia, you play this guy for free, you get your searches off. And then her other effect is when you Digivolve into a Digimon with Greymon or Omnimon in its name, you can suspend her to reduce the cost by 1. And so these two together can make you Digivolve into WarGreymon without passing turn, because you're going to be Digivolving for 4, or you're going to be Digivolving for 1 less, you're Digivolving for 3, and you already have Hero who sets you to 3. So this is pretty good. However, I don't want to run more of this because it feels really bad playing this without having a Searcher Agumon in hand, which is why we're only running 2. I was previously running 3, but I decided to swap them out, one of them out for a Gravity Crush. Gravity Crush, I've been a huge fan of this card for the longest time. But you gain 2 memory, and at the end of your turn, you lose 2 memory. But ideally, you're only going to be using this when you're swinging for game. And so the reason I'm running this over a third Nokia or Red Memory Boost is because it doesn't require any setup, right? You just play it and then you gain your memory. However, the reason we're not running more of these is because it can be blocked by memory blockers, whereas Nokia can't be blocked by a memory blocker. Same thing with the Red Memory Boost, can be blocked and does require setup as well. So Gravity Crush, pretty self-explanatory. If you don't have enough memory at the start of your turn, you kind of put yourself just to that enough memory to be able to Digivolve into WarGreymon and then swing. And then finally, we have 3 copies of Red Memory Boost. This is an OTK deck. It is a 1-stack deck. You need to find your pieces. So Red Memory Boost, revealed for add 1 red Digimon to hand, bottom deck the rest. And then the turn after you play this, you can trash this card to gain 2 memory. So you're going to get you to that 4 memory threshold that you need to digivolve into WarGreymon without passing turn and then be able to swing for game. So that is all for the deck. And the last 4 cards that we're running, we're only running 4 eggs. We're running Koromon. This also gains DP. Again, the DP increase seems like it's a bit excessive. You don't have to run this one. I only run 4. You could just run 5. It doesn't matter a whole lot much. You could run the one that draws you cards from BT5 when you swing with Greymon. But I think just having the additional DP boost just to be safe is better. But that's just me, right? I could totally be wrong on that. So let me go over just the basic combo and the basic line. The main play here is you're going to want to have some way to consistently get to 4 memory or digivolve for 4. So some of these in hand or on the field already. These already established in field or this in hand. And then what you're going to want to do is turn 1, you always want to digivolve into a rookie, right? So you're going to digivolve your Koromon into an Agumon. From there, you digivolve into any of your Greymon other than X antibody. You probably pass turn at this point if you're going first. And then the following turn, what you need to do is you could play a red memory boost or something to search out your pieces. You could play an Agumon to search out your pieces. But at that point, what you need to do is basically you need to fetch for your Greymon X antibody, digivolve, draw. And then the following turn, you're going to want to digivolve into Metal Greymon, or maybe that turn, whatever. And this, you want to pass turn on this, right? You don't want to pass turn on him ever. He does digivolve for 0, so I guess that doesn't make a whole lot of sense either. But you never want to digivolve directly into him unless you absolutely have to, because otherwise you don't get the security attack +1. It only lasts at the end of your opponent's turn. So the turn you want to go in for the kill. You're going to promote this. You digivolve into him for free. You gain a whole lot of DP and you gain security attack +1. You digivolve into him. Now you have one check from himself, security attack +1, so that's 2 checks, 3, 4, 5 because of his effect, so 5 security check. And if you're starting with this guy, you're already at 3 security, you're going to tap the Nokia to go to 0 when you digivolve into him because he's only going to cost 3. You want to pop the Mem Boost because he doesn't negate option cards, or you hit X antibodies or Ice Wall, you're going to be passing turn. So more memory, the better. If you have Gravity Crush, I would play it right then. And then he swings. He swings for 5, and then you swing with Omnimon for game. Now, if you don't have the Omnimon and you do have like a Gravity Crush and you get yourself to 2 memory, right, you can always just go into Burning Greymon for game. And if you don't have that either, if you have your Searchers and your Searchers hasn't swung yet and has lived for whatever reason, you swing with the Searcher for game. So that's pretty much it. That's this deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I really want to make more videos like this to help other players get into the game with cheaper decks, or even help, experienced players make fun decks that are incredibly fun. Like swinging for 5 with the card that everyone thinks is garbage is absolutely fun. And I've been having a blast with it. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today, and I will see you next time.